I never imagined I'd be the guy with a revenge saga. I'm Ethan Miller, 3 years ago. I was just another programmer in Brooksville, chasing big dreams but drowning under a heavy mortgage. My wife Laura, my tiny apartment packed with computers, and a startup idea that kept me awake at night was my whole world. One evening, Laura said, "We need to talk." I barely looked up, just 5 more minutes, I thought. But then I saw her standing with 2 suitcases, dressed for somewhere important, on the table. Divorce papers, already signed. My heart sank. Divorce, after all this time. She told me she'd been done for a while, tired of empty promises, budget shopping, and waiting for my big break that never came. Then she said the words that crushed me. She'd met someone else, Richard Stanton, CEO of a huge tech company. The man I once dreamed of impressing was now the one stealing my wife. Richard Stanton, the tech titan I had read about, was real. Laura worked for him as his executive assistant, hid it from me. She admitted they'd been together for months. It wasn't just the affair. She shared my secret, the platform I'd been developing. My precious algorithms. Betrayal burned hotter than heartbreak. Not only had she left me, but she might have handed my life's work over to Richard. I was drowning without legal protections. Years spent coding could be stolen. I called my friend Marcus, an IP lawyer, no NDA, a rookie mistake. But he told me, document everything, fight in court if needed. First, finish the platform, fight on my terms. With the divorce papers ignored on the table, I threw myself into my work. 4 days of a furious coding marathon. Then a courier arrived. A $50,000 check from Stanton Enterprises and a smug letter. That was their offer, cheap, insulting. I tore it up and called my investor James. Tomorrow's demo had to be perfect. No more second chances. At the meeting, James Wright wasn't convinced at first. Stanton Enterprises was launching a similar platform soon. But I promised mine was better. I asked for a data set to prove it live. Watching my software decode complex patterns in minutes earned James's respect. $2 million and introductions to his network followed. Hope lit up my world again. Over 6 months, Miller Analytics took shape. A sharp team, fine-tuned platform, and a polished image I never thought I'd have. TechCrunch Disrupt was our big stage. The buzz was electric. 3 major clients signed on the spot. Stanton's platform delayed, their algorithms struggling. My secret, they tried copying me and failed. My innovations kept me. 2 weeks later, I opened an office just 10 blocks from Stanton Enterprises in Manhattan. This was a message. I was here to stay. I embraced the fast pace, polished my image, played the game aggressively. I dated strategically, sent signals to Laura and Richard alike. The awkward coder was gone, replaced by a risk-taking, polished leader ready to reclaim what was lost. The annual Tech Innovation Summit, where Richard and I faced off. My presentation was electric. His stiff, faltering eye contact with Laura shocked her. She hadn't expected to see this new me, confident, powerful, owning my moment. Richard's forced smile when we met backstage told me all I needed. The rivalry wasn't just business, it was personal. After the summit, Laura confronted me. She accused me of becoming cold and ruthless, the very thing she used to condemn. I smiled. I learned from the best. We exchanged words that cut deeper than any code. But underneath it all, the truth was clear. I was no longer the man she left behind. This was war, played on a bigger stage. 6 months fast forward, 50-strong team, Fortune 500 clients, $200 million valuation. We scraped top talent from Stanton and won contracts they could only dream of. The business pages celebrated me as the new tech prodigy rising from humble roots. Yet whispers of threats and dirt slinging surfaced. A message. This game was only getting nastier. A text arrived. "This isn't a game you want to play. Signed, ours, no name, no details." I ignored it. But the threat proved that Richard Stanton was desperate. Threats, lawsuits, public battles, all tactics to keep me down. But every time they tried to stop me, I pushed harder, focused on building an empire that couldn't be toppled. At a lavish gala, I ran into Laura alone, champagne in hand. She confessed worries about Richard's failing deals and the global finance partner's contract slipping. I smiled. Business was cold. But it wasn't personal. She wondered if I was after revenge. I said no, just success. She said I'd become ruthless, just like them then. She dropped a bombshell. She and Richard were getting married next month. Morning after the gala, I learned of Stanton Enterprises' desperate lawsuit against Miller Analytics. Accusations of IP theft and espionage. Marcus assured me it was a bluff to scare investors and slow us down. We countersued, alleging their delayed platform was based on my stolen work. Laura was pulled into a legal spotlight she'd almost forgotten. The battle was public now. Days later, a thick, embossed wedding invite arrived from Richard and Laura. A handwritten note from Laura. "I'd love for you to see what real success looks like." Was this a taunt or an invitation? I accepted with a +1. determined to uncover every secret about Stanton's shaky finances. What I found was a déjà vu, a giant about to fall, weighed down by risky bets and debt. Started buying Stanton shares through shell companies, quietly building influence. I won over board members questioning Richard's leadership 2 weeks before the wedding. A text from Richard warned me off. I shared it with Marcus, adding fuel for our counterclaims. The game was entering its final, deadly phase. I was ready. At a press conference, Richard launched a bold pivot to AI and machine learning. Areas we hadn't yet dominated. Stocks jumped 8%. James called me immediately. He's trying to outflank you. I smiled. He was too late. Our play was already in motion, ready to end his reign and stakes for good. 1 week before the wedding, we made our move with a tender offer shareholders couldn't refuse. Within days, we controlled over 50% of Stanton Enterprises. Richard called, furious and desperate. I told him, this is about Laura, about everything you stole. He vowed a fight, but he had little left. The timing was perfect, his most vulnerable moment, his wedding day. Dressed sharp, watched by business shark Jessica, I arrived at the plaza. This wasn't a wedding crash, it was reconnaissance. The ballroom glittered with New York's elite. Laura's Vera Wang dress sparkled. But I felt detached, not anger, not sadness. I was a spectator. The man I was had disappeared. The new game was about to begin in earnest. Wedding was tasteful, brief, vows exchanged, rings slipped on silk pillow, a kiss, applause. I clapped quietly, blending into the audience around me, smiles and champagne, a fairy tale for Laura and Richard. But behind the smiles, a storm was brewing, and I wasn't just a guest. I was the eye of that storm. Midway through the reception, Richard's phone buzzed with bad news. His face paled. Urgent whispers began among his team. Phones lit up. And then he saw me, our eyes locked. Shock, fear, rage flashed across his face. The wedding fell silent as whispers spread. Miller Analytics had taken control of Stanton Enterprises. The board was restructured. I owned his company now. I approached Laura with a warm smile. You look beautiful. Shock spread on her face. She never expected me here. I kissed her cheek, breathing in that expensive perfume, reminding myself this was more than personal, it was business. She studied my new look, our lives now worlds apart. Success had changed me into someone she barely recognized. I asked Laura if she was happy, if she got everything she wanted. She said Richard gave her everything. I reminded her everything has a price. Before she answered, Richard appeared, mask of rage. Their wedding shattered by business war, the cold reality. Love wasn't the only contract being signed today. Richard snarled that I had orchestrated this, the takeover at their wedding. Laura's eyes widened in disbelief. I shrugged. Business is business. Timing is everything. Their fairy tale was undone by hostile bids and cold strategy. This was the real world where marriages and companies alike could be broken in an instant. I offered Richard a role as an advisor at my own company. He scoffed. The shareholders had spoken, losing faith in his leadership. Laura stared at me, stunned. The man she left was gone, replaced by a leader who took what was his, without mercy or remorse. This was only the beginning of a new era, and the battle was far from. Looking back, that moment wasn't just about revenge. It was about reclaiming my life. Laura's betrayal hurt, but it fueled something bigger to prove that resilience is stronger than heartbreak. I learned that sometimes success is the sweetest revenge, and in this industry, it's survival of the smartest and toughest. Miller Analytics isn't just a company. It's a symbol of endurance and reinvention. From the ashes of a broken marriage and stolen dreams, we built something unstoppable. The road was brutal, filled with fights and losses. But every challenge strengthened my resolve, and the future, it's ours to shape, no matter the cost. Here's what I wonder. When ambition consumes you, what do you lose? Is winning worth the scars and the broken relationships? Tell me, what would you sacrifice for success? Because in the end, everyone's story has a price, and some prices are too high to pay. The story is far from over. Every step forward brings new challenges, new enemies, and new betrayals. But one thing is for sure, the fight for the future of tech, and for my legacy, has only just begun. Stay tuned, because the next chapters will be even more intense, unpredictable, and revealing. Even as Miller Analytics soared, shadows crept in, emails encrypted with threats. Anonymous meetings in dark corners. The higher we climbed, the darker the fights got. Somebody was watching, waiting for a mistake. This was no longer just Richard. The war had attracted players no one expected. I had to stay sharp, or lose everything again. Then came a surprise. An insider from Stanton Enterprises reached out, a quiet voice offering secrets, data, and a path to dismantle Richard's empire from within. But trust was thin in this game. Could I risk this alliance, or was it a trap? Either way, I had no room for hesitation. this was the edge of war. The insider uncovered attempts by Stanton to sabotage Miller's partnerships, fake data leaks, smear campaigns, even hacking attempts. The enemy was ruthless and relentless. Every victory was met with counterattack. I realized that in tech, it's not just code, it's war, and every line of defense mattered. Together with my team, we built barriers both legal and digital. Patents were filed, servers fortified, partnerships deepened. We learned to anticipate moves and strike first. Miller Analytics grew smarter and tougher. This wasn't just a startup anymore. It was a fortress in a technological battlefield. Richard wasn't finished. He launched a media campaign, painting me as a reckless disruptor, attacking our credibility. The industry wavered, investors blinked. But amidst the noise, our loyal supporters held strong. This was a game of perception, power, and persistence, and I was learning fast. To fight back, I forged alliances with industry leaders, journalists, and influential voices. We shifted the narrative, highlighting Miller Analytics' innovations and integrity. Slowly, trust returned. The battle for the company's soul was also a battle for public opinion. Winning hearts mattered as much as winning contracts. Then a trusted team member was caught leaking information. Shock tore through us. How deep did the betrayal run? Paranoia crept in. The fight wasn't just outside. But inside our walls, I realized in this world, loyalty is fragile, and vigilance is the price of survival. Tightened our circle, raised security protocols, and rebuilt the team with unwavering focus. The setback strengthened us. I learned leadership isn't just about vision, it's about resilience, navigating storms, and keeping faith alive when the unexpected hits like a freight train. Undeterred by internal chaos, we launched a next-generation product with groundbreaking AI capabilities. The tech world buzzed. New contracts flooded in. Miller Analytics was no longer a challenger. We were innovators shaping the future. Victory tasted sweeter when hard fought. Richard played his last card, an aggressive lawsuit claiming patent infringement and sabotage. Courtrooms became battlegrounds, lawyers exchanged fire. The stakes were higher than ever, but armed with solid evidence and support, I stood firm. The story was no longer mine alone, it was a fight for fairness, innovation, and respect. Against all odds, we won the court case. The judgment affirmed Miller Analytics' rightful ownership of innovations and branded Stanton's claims as baseless. The ruling sent shockwaves through the industry, signaling a shift in power. Richard's empire was crumbling, and my vision was finally free to soar. With a legal battle behind us, Miller Analytics expanded rapidly. Our approach was bold, strategic, and relentless. We attracted top talent, secured major global clients, and gained respect from rivals. The underdog from Brooksville became a beacon of tech innovation, rewriting the rules and crafting a legacy. Reflecting on this journey from crushed dreams and betrayal to triumph, I realized success isn't just the destination, it's the fight. The betrayal stung, but it shaped me. And while the scars linger, the future is mine to build. The question isn't if I'll win, but how high I'll rise next. So what's the real story here? It's not just about revenge. It's about resilience, reclaiming your destiny, and reinventing yourself when life tries to break you. We all face setbacks. How we respond defines us. I chose to fight, chose to build. What would you do if you were in my shoes? Think about it. This chapter closes, but the saga continues. Tech is ever evolving. Rivals re-emerge and new challenges await. I am ready for whatever comes next, because in the war for innovation, only the relentless survive. Thanks for joining my story so far. The best is yet to come. Looking back, those early days were full of hope, but also desperation. Hunched over my laptop, dreaming of a breakthrough that never came fast enough. My marriage was fraying, and I was blind to the cracks. Little did I know, everything I valued was about to be ripped apart. Laura's words haunted me, years of empty promises and hardships she endured while I chased a dream. She left, carrying more than just suitcases. She took my trust and risked my future by sharing my work with a rival. That betrayal was a wake-up call I couldn't ignore. Anger became fuel. Every line of code I wrote was packed with rage and determination. I wouldn't just finish my work, I'd make it better, unstoppable. Every setback hardened my resolve. It wasn't just revenge. It was survival and proving my worth on my own terms. The meeting with James was a turning point, risking it all on a live demo, knowing Richard was already maneuvering. I pushed beyond exhaustion. That leap of faith paid off. Sometimes, growth demands pushing past fear and fatigue to seize fleeting chances. Funding secured. The real work began, building a company that could stand tall in the crushing world of tech giants. It meant long hours, strategic moves, and a constant battle for credibility, but each success was a step toward reclaiming what was taken. Every victory brought new threats, calls in the middle of the night, shadows following, reminders that success invites enemies. Outmaneuvering these threats taught me to stay sharp, plan 3 steps ahead, and never rest on laurels in tech and life. Survival is about foresight and grit. Toll was high, lost friendships, fractured trust, sleepless nights. But with each challenge overcome, we grew stronger, our technology better, our team tighter, progress demanded sacrifices, but the rewards were real: respect, power, and the chance to write my own story. Laura accused me of becoming the very thing I despised: cutthroat and ruthless. But in this game, softness is weakness. To build, to win, you must play smart and tough. I shed my old self like an old skin. Reinvention was necessary to survive. I had to become the architect of my own destiny. Miller Analytics represents more than tech innovation. It is a testament to resilience, from betrayal to battle, setback to victory. This company is my legacy. The fight wasn't just about business. It was about proving that with vision and guts, you can change your story forever. Even as horizons widen and victories pile up, the tech battlefield is ever-changing. New rivals emerge, old wounds reopen. This war for innovation is endless. But now, I am not just fighting for survival, I am fighting for dominance, and nothing will stop me from winning. What about you? When faced with betrayal, will you crumble or rise? When faced with impossible odds, will you quit or fight? Success doesn't come easy or fair. It demands sacrifice, fire, and heart. What price are you willing to pay for your dreams? Story shows a truth beyond numbers and contracts. It is about human ambition, flaw, and the hunger to claim more. Revenge is bitter, but sometimes necessary to rebuild from ruin. In the end, success isn't just what you build, it is the battles you survive to build it. The tech world is brutal, fast, and unforgiving. Today's victories can turn to tomorrow's defeats if you lose focus. I am ready for every fight ahead, because I know this: only the relentless survive. The fight to innovate, to win, to define the future, it is eternal. From a struggling programmer drowning in grief to a CEO steering a tech empire, my journey wasn't just about success. It was about transformation. Reinventing yourself when the world tries to bury you is the hardest and most rewarding fight of all. Even in the darkest moments, hope can ignite. It sparks in passion, hard work, belief. That hope was my lifeline when everything seemed lost. I chose to fight, to rise, to rewrite my story. This video isn't just my story, it is yours too. Every choice I made shaped this journey. Trust or doubt, fight or flee, build or break. We all face moments like these. What you choose determines your path. Success isn't fated as forged, so choose wisely. Behind every headline, every triumph, there is a story of pain, struggle, and relentless work. Mine is no different. Remember that when you dream big, nothing worth having comes without sacrifice. But the reward, it is worth every battle scar. I didn't just want to build a company. I wanted to leave a legacy, to prove that no matter how you start, where you come from, you can rise and own your future. That is the heart of Miller Analytics, and the heart of every dreamer who refuses to quit. Years of grinding, relentless coding, and fighting through betrayal taught me one thing: persistence pays. No matter how many times you fall, what counts is how you get back up. That is the difference between the dreamers and the doers. Was this story revenge? Sure, at first. But it became so much more. A fight for survival, for redemption, for self-worth. Revenge tastes bitter alone, but when mixed with purpose and growth, it can transform you into a force unstoppable. Nothing comes without cost. Lost love, broken trust, sleepless nights. But success forged in fire lasts. So when you chase your dreams, be ready to pay the price and fight harder than ever to keep what you've earned. Every one of us has a story of struggle and hope. What will yours be? Will you let the world break you, or will you rise, fight, and transform your pain into power? The next chapter starts now, so what will you choose? Thanks for joining me on this journey. Ethan Miller's story of heartbreak, betrayal, and ultimate comeback. If you've felt inspired, share your thoughts below. Remember, the greatest innovations come from the toughest battles. Keep fighting, keep dreaming.